Coming up on Browns Countdown, the 2017 season is finally here, and we'll break down this year's schedule, plus hear from newly acquired wide receiver Sammy Coates and Browns quarterback legend Bernie Kosar goes into the film room to break down the Week 1 opponent, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, the lifeblood of the Steelers for decades has been this vaunted Steeler defense.
Everybody, hope you're having a great Friday night. Welcome to our special edition of Browns Countdown. He is Nathan Zagura. Of course, he is Matt Wilhelm. Finally, boys, it feels like forever since we sat on the set. The preseason is over. Camp is over. All of it's over. We are ready for the regular season.
Oh, yes, we are. It's been quite the week in Berea, and I am ready for Sunday, First Energy Stadium. The Browns and the Steelers coming off of that undefeated preseason.
To build off that 4-0 preseason, the one thing I'm looking forward to is this Greg Williams defense. It has been outstanding. Their ability to clog the situation up in the front line, their ability to bring blitzes from all over the field, and take guys that you thought would be role players and turn them into stars in this defense is what I'm looking forward to.
All right, before we get into all this, what did 4-0 mean to the Browns during the preseason?
You know, it's the preseason, so it really doesn't mean much, but for this organization that had struggled with winning, it was good to see them come through in the clutch, and it started in the very first preseason game when the guy who is now your starting quarterback, DeShone Kizer, made that big throw down to Jordan Payton and got them that win, and then the defense held on. And I think it just showed you that this scheme works. They didn't allow a touchdown in 3 straight games. That's what was exciting to me. And you found out who your quarterback was in DeShone Kizer.
Is there a culture change?
There is a culture change. I really believe there is. And I think that 4-0 start to me was kind of like an appetizer. You know, now we know the regular season is going to be the main course, but we got to taste what it's like to win, and to win consecutive weeks in a row, and to know that you, even though after you grasp a victory, you have to go back to work to earn that next one, which we'll do this regular season.
All right, Hugh Jackson talked throughout the preseason about the quarterback situation being fluid. The whole 53-man roster is really fluid for the most cases. It happens every day, different changes just yesterday, and then changes at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, Josh Woodrum and Calvin Pryor both released yesterday. They've been replaced on the 53 by Kai Nakua, another safety, giving you 4 there. And then we noticed when the 53 was made, only 5 linebackers.
Right.
Well, they added a 6th yesterday, in B.J. Bello, who was with the team all in the preseason.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that Kizer is your absolute starter. You know, Osweiler, he got his shot. You know, just wasn't good enough, and I think he didn't push the football down the field enough in this Hugh Jackson offense, and Hugh Jackson wanted to see the flashes that he had in quarterbacks like Joe Flacco and Andy Dalton.
How did DeShone Kizer win the job?
Because DeShone Kizer is the most talented quarterback on this roster. He went out there, he showed the poise in the pocket. The game never looked too big to him. He didn't look harried, and I think even though the stats weren't great against the Buccaneers, he didn't take a sack. He got the ball out and showed the ability to make some big-time NFL throws. I think he gives you the best chance to win, and when you look around the league, and we're going to see some of these guys on the schedule. We saw Jameis Winston in Tampa. We're going to see Marcus Mariota. These guys come in and start from day one, and yes, they have some of their growing pains, but it makes them better in the long run, and that's the hope with Kizer.
You know what I love with DeShone Kizer? I love him being named the starter after being the best quarterback through camp and through those preseason games, but I love Hugh Jackson coming out and saying he is our quarterback for the long haul. So if he is healthy, he will start 16 football games for us, which hasn't happened in a very long time.
All right, let's get into some of the things that happened this week. Kind of a deflating moment knowing that Myles Garrett can't play on Sunday. Where are we with that? How long is this going to be?
Yeah, it's a high ankle sprain, and it's an absolute bummer. We were texting each other, and we're like, what is going on? Is this for real? But Myles Garrett in practice, unfortunately, somebody rolled up on his ankle, suffered the high ankle sprain there, and he's going to be out. You know, it's typically 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see. They're going to evaluate on a week-to-week basis. But now you've got Emmanuel Ogbah, who's got to step up. You've got Carl Nassib, who has to step up. Nate Orchard. So the other guys on this line need to step up. But obviously, you want to have Myles Garrett out there to go after Ben Roethlisberger, but you aren't going to have him, and that's life in the NFL.
You definitely do. And while we would love to have Myles Garrett, the one thing I'm encouraged about is we have Greg Williams for 16 football games, and we've got this great scheme that in other places with other players not as talented as Myles Garrett, it's been very successful. And I think it's the buy-in in these defensive players in Greg Williams' scheme, as we've seen, regardless whether it's the 1s, the 2s, or the 3s, they have collectively played very aggressive, tenacious, relentless defense, running to the football, affecting the quarterback, and stopping the run.
Let me throw one other question at you. Talked to Tiki Barber earlier this week. High ankle sprain, sounds bad, doesn't feel good, but ultimately, that's kind of a best-case scenario.
Well, yeah, in some cases, I know that I've also heard that you'd rather have a broken ankle, which you can heal and put in a cast and basically heal that bone, as opposed to having the ligament damage that comes with a high ankle sprain that can last somewhere from 4 weeks, even maybe to 8 weeks. And I think for an explosive individual like Myles Garrett, who's got to get his cleats on the ground and play on his edges, having that ankle sprain a little bit unstable is kind of what Nathan pointed out today on Cleveland Browns Daily. Is you have to get him back to 100% before he sees the field.
All right, let's talk about some of the other acquisitions that were made after what we thought after the Bears game, and Sammy Coates is definitely one of those big acquisitions.
Yeah, he's a former third-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy can flat-out fly and take a top off the defense. That's going to keep the safeties out of the box when you're giving the ball to Isaiah Crowell. It's going to give Kenny Britt and Corey Coleman more room on those crossing routes. David Njoku set the valve more room as well. He's a guy last year in the first 5 games of the season had 421 yards receiving and was averaging over 20 yards a catch. Then he suffered multiple broken fingers and his kind of play tailed off there with the injury. But this is a guy who knows how to be productive. And look, anytime you go a 5-game stretch in the NFL averaging over 80 yards a game and 20 yards a catch, you can make plays.
You know what Sammy Coates means to me? Sammy Coates means you've got Corey Coleman, then Kenny Britt, and then there was a pause until you said Ricardo Lewis, and maybe Duke Johnson playing a little bit of slot for us this year. And I think Sammy Coates, you can wholeheartedly say it's Corey Coleman, Kenny Britt, Sammy Coates, and then Ricardo Lewis. And it's just a matter of time for him to catch up on speed, and we'll hear from him later in the show as well with Dustin Fox talking about just studying that playbook and learning it and wanting to pass that test each and every day in practice to be ready for the exam come weekend.
All right, help me with this. A little bit myth, or is it just kind of fact? You pick up a guy from the Steelers. Steelers picked up Joe Hayden. Does it matter that he plays on a team that you're going to play twice a season? Does that matter?
It's a myth. Okay. I believe it's a myth. And I've been in those locker rooms before when we've acquired a player in the interdivision, and our coaches said, let us be the coaches. We've got them figured out. We know their tendencies. We don't need that inside information that sometimes you might start to chew on, and then they might break that tendency against you. Then you point the finger at that one guy.
It's interesting because everyone was, oh, you got the playbook. No, you don't. And I'm glad you said that. All right, speaking of Sammy Coates, our Dustin Fox caught up with him earlier this week.
Hey, Dustin Fox here with new Browns wide receiver Sammy Coates. Sammy, what's it like being in Cleveland?
It's different. It's a new place to me. I got to get used to where everything's at, so that's like the biggest difference.
Has it been tough to catch up with the offense?
No, you know, it's been like day-by-day thing. You know, you go home and study. It's just like get ready for a test. You know, you got to go study for that test, and when it comes to that day on the test, you got to know everything that was on that homework assignment or on that study guide. So the playbook is my study guide, so when it comes to game day, I got to know that study guide like the back of my hand.
So Browns head coach Hugh Jackson was asked about you after they traded for you, and the first thing he said was speed with this guy. How fast are you?
To be honest, I really don't know how fast I can run. I know I got days I'm super fast and days it seem like I'm just floating, you know. Just, my body's feeling great, so it's going to be surprised to see how fast I run this year.
What can Browns fans expect from you during the season and in this game? Energy.
I'm bringing a lot to the table. I'm going to make plays whenever chance I get. I don't care what it's on, special teams or offense. They can put me at defense. I'll go there and tackle somebody. You know, it just, when you're a player, you got to be able to do a lot of things, and I'm going to showcase my talent all over the field.
The fingers. Tell me about the fingers. You broke those both last year?
Yeah, I started off hot last year. I was on the road to break records. Then come to this Jets game when I had my biggest game of my career. I broke my finger and I had to get stitches in my webbing. So I'm playing a game. I can't feel my left hand.
Show us the fingers. Can you see? Oh, baby.
I had stitches through here, so they stitched me up at halftime and they numbed it up. And I couldn't feel it. I played the rest of the game and I ended up with 2 touchdowns and 100-some yards.
Well, that's some toughness right there.
The next day I felt all of it. But you know, that's part of the game. It slowed me down production-wise, but I still played the special teams and I still showcase my talent.
So the hands are good now. I mean, you're a wide receiver. You got to catch the football.
That's what people don't understand. When you're a wide receiver, you break your finger, it's hard to play. But yeah, I'm ready to go now. I'm healthy. I'm 100%. It's going to be fun.
All right, Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town. Little chip on your shoulder this week?
A big chip. You know, they didn't want me, so I guess I got to go showcase why they should have kept me.
Sammy Coates, thanks for the time, man.
Thank y'all.
All right, gentlemen, coming up in just a few moments, we're going to take a look at the first 4 games of the season. And we welcome Bernie Kosar to the show with Bernie's Breakdown. We're hanging out in the film room with him.